All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I'm Michael Wilson, Senior Sales Engineer at StrongDM, and Greg will be joining us later to help answer any audience questions. I wanted to take the time to speak with you about the current state of access management and the challenges this introduces, what the future of infrastructure access looks like with the growth of identities, and then we'll spend some time taking a look at a demo of StrongDM, and lastly, we'll wrap up with any questions from the audience. In recent years, the nature of work has changed. Top of mind is the number of people that are now working remotely due to COVID. Many employees have been forced to work from home and continue to do so. Some of us are quite happy with this change, but it poses a lot of unique challenges. Headquarters have vanished, and simple to secure infrastructure vanished with it. Centralized IT has been replaced by a decentralized workforce with employees everywhere. Coupled with the rapid rise in cloud technologies, tech stacks have evolved into complex beasts, on-prem, hybrid, multi-cloud, all being utilized in some form or another. Toss in the increasing adoption of Kubernetes, containers, and other microservices, and it's clear that there are a lot of components in today's tech stacks. Additionally, the number of technical employees needing access to sensitive information is also increasing. The rise of the technical employee is upon us, and these employees are using data and technology every day and require access to sensitive information and systems to get their jobs done. We aren't just talking about ensuring secure point-in-time access for engineers and developers, but enabling data scientists, product managers, marketers, salespeople, and more. In order to compete in the digital age, modern organizations are adopting a more flexible IT infrastructure strategy, one that includes more resources, more tools, more data, more servers, as well as more web apps and integrations, basically more of everything. This is the era of the limitless stack. It has no boundaries, it is ephemeral, it is shape-shifting, and it will continue to evolve. Legacy access management solutions were not designed to keep up with all these users in all these places. They also never contemplated the complexity and elasticity of today's modern environments. Increasingly complex stacks, off-limits networks, and ephemeral servers, this tangle of resources is difficult for anyone to map or even see clearly. Layer onto that the need to keep it all secure and compliant. And how could you possibly manage and enable secure access to all these resources for all the people who need it? This is where I can say with confidence that access is overdue for innovation. Shouldn't we be putting people at the center and devising ways which are easy, fast, and secure for all those people to gain access to what they need without causing administrative headaches, loss of productivity, and opening the door for these people to create vulnerabilities within our already complex infrastructure? As we consider the future of infrastructure environments, the rise of digital identities, and the number of employees that need access to all these resources, we need to adopt tools that streamline access while maintaining secure controls. In a survey completed by the Identity and Security Alliance, 84% of companies report experiencing an identity breach in the past year. Of these companies that reported that breach, 96% report it could have been prevented or minimized by implementing identity-focused security outcomes. And with the army of remote workers and contractors accessing all these resources, we need to make sure that this access is done securely. Identity-related breaches are a continued threat and have a direct impact on business. The security implications are real. The report also stated that 78% of companies experienced impacts on the business, such as recovery costs and reputational damage because of breach. Let's think about breaches that have affected the industry, one of them being the Colonial Pipeline attack that occurred last year. That attack occurred through a legacy VPN that was no longer in use by the company. Or what about the supply chain attack that occurred with the SolarWinds hack? Organizations need to constantly protect themselves from security threats, and a good place to start is with access management. In all the efforts to make things secure, we end up building gates, walls, and hoops for everyone to jump through. Systems are now secure, but also incredibly cumbersome for the people who actually need access to the infrastructure to do their jobs. The result grows obscure, complex, and painful to use. People can't get access to the resources they need to do their jobs. That's when people start to build workarounds, leave out of frustration, and the dreaded shadow IT surfaces its rebellious head. We know that security is only effective when people can adopt it. Without the right tools, organizations lose time, money, and frankly, our most valuable resource, our people. We already talked about the need for access to be secure. And with stolen credentials, phishing, account takeovers, and so on, but what we can't overlook is the impact of access on productivity. StrongDM has recent research that asked this same question, and it showed 73% of employees require 15 or more minutes to get access to infrastructure, with over 30% requiring more than 30 minutes. As an engineer, I understand the pain of toil. Access management needs to be one of those things that can be automated in a secure way. In this day and age of rising salaries, talent shortages, and pressure to hit corporate objectives, it becomes of paramount importance to maximize efficiencies, and that means productivity. We found that organizations have their productivity impacted on a weekly or daily basis because of access issues. And 52% of development teams reported missing deadlines as they were waiting for access and being held accountable for the missed deadline, even though they couldn't access the infrastructure that they needed. What if an access management solution was built around the needs of people first? What if it was easy to use and designed to be secure by default and auditable? StrongDM is proud to introduce a radical and new approach to the modern tech stack. We call it People First Access, and it rethinks access around the people who need it, making it incredibly simple and usable while ensuring total security and compliance. And now let's jump into a demo. All right, I'm sharing my screen. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and log into the StrongDM client, which on the Mac is going to be up here at the top of the screen. And I'm using 1Password to log in, and then we're using Okta as our SSO. So I'm getting a push on my phone right now for multi-factor authentication. Yes, it's me. 13 is the magic number. How lucky is that? And now I'm authenticated. The first thing you'll see here is that list of resources that I have access to, and that's based on my role. So my current role is as a sales engineer. I have access to some of these demo environments. And the first thing I want to show you is this Postgres database server here that I'm going to connect to using my client of choice, which is Beekeeper. And one thing you'll notice is that I'm connecting to localhost, and this is kind of a magic port number here, which is shown right here, 15432. Otherwise, I don't need a username or a password, and I just connect normally. And you'll see here, I already have entered kind of my first query. And when I send that over, I get 1,000 records back. And I'll show you what that looks like in the auditing logs, but it's just as simple as that. You're just going to use whatever your database client of choice is for that. And then another example we'll use here is for SSH. You'll see I've got this SSH server listed here at staging-ssh-ubuntu. All I actually need to type in here is SSH and a unique substring of that server name. I'm not going to provide any PEM files or user credentials. None of that stuff lives on my machine. And I'm connected. As you can see, I can top. I can, I don't know, fix something. Arguably, that's why we would be logged into this machine in the first place. And yeah, just like that. And then let's take a look at what this looks like in StrongDM. I'm going to connect to the admin UI. There we go. And the first thing we'll see is all of the users. And but let's take a look at the logs first. You can see here where I logged in, I logged out, I logged in using Okta, and logged into the admin UI, which was just now. You can see this query here that I sent from Beekeeper earlier, that it returned 1,000 rows. That went really fast, 96 milliseconds. That's the resource name that I connected on. In addition, you can see there's some other information that was sent from the client kind of in the background. So, rest assured that pretty much anything going on that database server is going to be logged for auditing purposes. And then this is really cool. So this is that SSH session that I connected to here, and I can play that back just like a movie. You can see every keystroke. You can speed this up if you want. This is searchable. This is greppable. And you can use this also for training purposes. If you've got that like one thing that happens, once or twice a year that nobody knows how to fix it, you can just have a little recording of somebody fixing that, which is really handy. So let me show you how easy it is to onboard and offboard your teams using our SCIM integration with Okta. So I'm going to go ahead and log into Okta as if I was an admin here. And let me find myself. And you'll see that I'm currently sitting in this Okta engineering group, which is what actually gives me access to these resources here. And if I remove myself from that group, now I'm offboarding, and boom, I'm immediately disconnected from all of those services. Say, I don't know, I got a downgrade. Now I'm in this Okta minimal group, and I have access to much smaller subset of resources. So really, really easy. Basically, onboarding and offboarding technical staff becomes a function of HR once you've got all this set up. So, and then finally, a lot of folks have questions about where these logs are stored and what options are available there. So this is log encryption and storage settings. You can store your logs with StrongDM for up to 13 months, or you can opt out of that. You can use StrongDM's encryption or your own public key. Additionally, you can pipe out all of your logs to whatever your SIM of choice is, if that's a Datadog or a Splunk or multiple SIMs. And you can use that for fancy alerting and monitoring and data visualization. Most of our customers are choosing to use the StrongDM storage for up to 13 months, and at the same time piping that out to their SIM, so they have that redundancy as well as some of those richer features. And that's about it for my demo. I think at this point we can move on to some questions and answers from the audience.